with you just as you speak. Our first commentator is TJ Porter. TJ was at the WTO protest in Seattle. He is from here. TJ has been active in labor and politics since 1991. He worked closely with Ken Gardner and Ed Main locally. He served as the first executive secretary of the Utah Labor Party, as secretary-treasurer and president and political action chairman of his local union, USW 12286, formerly the Oil, Chemical, and Atomic Workers. Give applause to TJ.
Thank you, Hans. The opportunity to
speak into the mic, please.
Sorry, I don't do this every day. Sorry. The opportunity to attend the WTO protest in Seattle was one of the greatest opportunities of my life, and I'm very proud to be there and honored to be here with you tonight. And always find it very uplifting and inspiring whenever any kind of anything to do with progression and social reform and anything like that is always very exciting. I have just a couple of minutes, so I don't want to ramble, but I want to try to make a couple of points. One is I got just a couple of minutes to try to tell you who you are and what you want. I entered labor as a trade unionist, and that's just like kind of equal to a university student with all of their brains knocked out. But I became active in politics as a result of my activity in labor. And I talked to a lot of people who say, I want to be an activist, I want to be involved, and what it's really about is showing up. And you show up, and pretty soon you find yourself involved. And it's very necessary for us to become involved. I want to remind everybody that we are citizens. We are citizens of the United States of America. We have the greatest promise ever laid at the feet of a people ever in the history of the world. But I've got to tell you, it requires citizenship. Citizen, the word, requires personal responsibility. That means to become an activist, you are merely a citizen who takes part in the political process. What's not happening, well, now it's a little easier to breathe. We've left what historians will come to call the dark ages of the United States of America. We survived the tyranny of the last 8 years. But we have got to become a little bit more sophisticated so that we can more profoundly understand the way the world works. There's always a price. And I get really emotional because I know I've been there, and I know what it's like. And you've got to learn about Ludlow, Colorado. You've got to learn about the labor struggles that took place for centuries. But you know what? The reason we won in Seattle, there was no WTO convention. We won because we were right. Morally, we were right. And the world was watching. And it started with one voice. And then there became many. And I wish you could know, I wish you could be there. I wish everybody in America could experience what it's like to be with tens of thousands of people. The longshoremen shut the West Coast down. There was nothing going on in Seattle. There was no cabs, there was no buses, there was no trains, there was nothing. The firefighters were union. They wouldn't come and spray the people. There was nothing going on. The people who were waiting for buses got caught up in the protest, climbed to the top of the little places where, the buses stopped to try to avoid what was going on. And tear gas and pepper spray are terrible things. And when you've been pepper sprayed, there's not enough water to put on yourself because a little bit of water only aggravates the chemical and makes it worse. And people were, it was cool. It was awesome. Yeah. As citizens, I want to test the waters here. So I don't know if there's any trade unionists out there. But you know, we got to do this. We got to pick ourselves up. We got to get a little bit sophisticated. We have to read. I hope everybody's read Walden. Congratulations. But you know, there's lots more. And Montesquieu, Montaigne, Voltaire, Rousseau, John Locke, all these people, John Locke especially. I mean, Thomas Jefferson was repeating what he learned when he said life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we are given these guarantees, but you can only lay claim to these guarantees, these entitlements, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that word, if we demand them, if we seek them. So the Constitution says, you know, under the umbrella of equality, life, liberty, and what?
Property.
Well, that's what Locke said. Life, liberty, and justice for all. And the only way we get that justice is when we demand it, unfortunately. Because the way the world works isn't all utopian and nice, and people that run things are not nice people. And there's like 1% of them and 99% of us. There's more of us than there are of them. But we have got to get organized, and you have to get in their face and demand. I guess got a couple more seconds. But, you know, show up. This conference is a wonderful thing. Tomorrow there'll be lots of ideas, and read everybody's ideas. Find the truth. Don't trust one source of information, and that's another thing. Where do you get your information? You know, in the last 20 years, the sources of your information have shrunk to a handful, and they're multinational, giant, global corporations. They're not interested in telling the story. Do you remember reading the papers? December the 1st, 1999? There was 10 or 15,000 irritated people downtown in Seattle. Well, the story got out. There were hundreds of thousands of people, some great people, and I got to be with them and take part. And so, you know, we have to stand up. Those of us who want to be active and politically, we have to be active politically because there are many people around the world and in our country who don't have a voice. So yes, I would go to jail for you and you and you if you don't have a voice, because it's the right thing to do. Because that's what this country is built on. Now, you know who you are. I told you. You're American citizens. You have the right to the greatest, most glorious promise. What do you want? Come on, I want to hear you. What do you want? You want justice. Now I say, what do you want? And you say, justice. And I say, when do you want it? And you say, what do you want? Justice. When do you want it? Now. What do you want? Justice. When do you want it? Now. You feel that? That's your spinal cord, and it's getting an erection. We are not little dogs or rodents or animals, and we're not going to settle for the bits and pieces, the crumbs that fall off the table. Because we want justice, and by God, we'll get it. Okay, I'm done.